Hello, I'm Arielle from the Inconspicuous Bear, and I'll be narrating a Gold Challenge Mode run of Scholomance from a Guardian point of view. Scholomance is a pretty forgiving challenge mode. The timer is very lax, and there's nothing too particularly dangerous in it. First thing you'll notice is that we all have a polyformic acid potion buff. I just run through it really quick on heroic to grab it before you start the challenge mode version. I run in charge and pull these two guards. Reese decides it's a good idea to pull aggro on the second one off me, so I just grab it back. I'll just dump rage into Maul and do as much cleave damage as you possibly can. Once the first one dies, what you want to do is open the door, and yeah, you see Reese already opened the door. We're going to walk out to drag the other one out to the balcony and kill it on the way. The reason we do this is to cut down the amount of time between when the guard dies and you pull the lich boss down below. So Reese is going to turn, jump, and shoot the boss. So you got to jump down right after so you don't get any of the alkalites spawn. You'll see pretty quick here that someone just accidentally aggroes the Risen Guard. You have to kill it anyway, so you might as well just grab it during the boss for more DPS. Here you want to blow Potion, Incarnation, and Vigil. I don't think I used a potion yet, but you need to burst the lich down very quickly, because the ice moves really fast on challenge mode, and once the lich dies, we'll go right on the Phylactery. You pretty much just ignore the guard the entire time. Hit it with like a thrash or cleave damage from Maul if you want, but don't try and actually kill it. Don't try and actively kill it at this point. We're almost done with the lich boss at this point. One thing you want to watch out for is the frozen circles on the ground. Don't want to stand in those because this causes unnecessary damage on you. The witch goes down and we immediately swap to the Phylactery. The Phylactery part of the encounter also comes with several flying books around with flame torrents. You can see those in the left, right, and top ends of the screen. They do actually go in a predictable pattern, but it's just easier to react to them as they come towards the Phylactery and just move out of the way. And there's also a second set of books that spawn and do a little frozen orb type spell. You can see it hitting the ground right there. You obviously don't want to stand in that because that's just extra damage that you do not need to be taking. The Phylactery is going to go down, and I'm immediately going to jump, start running forward towards down the hallway. Get some extra DPS on the Risen Guard as you run, then once he gets low enough, just turn and go. The next Risen Guard down the hallway, I'm going to pull that. You probably noticed that Hamlet's ambering in the back, so you want to make sure you keep yourself alive with Frenzy Regeneration until your healer comes up, because they will amber right after the boss in order to recover the mana. Once the Risen Guard gets down to about maybe 30-40% of health, you're going to go pull the first two Candlestick Mages. You can pull all five of these at once if you really want to, but it's simply easier just to split them into two pulls, so that's less exhaustive on your healer, and it's just simply easier to deal with. If you were going for speed, you would pull all five at once and just use major cooldowns to get through it. Once these Candlestick Mages, see the first one's already about half, once they're down about 30% life, again run into the room and pull the next three. The other two will be basically permanently snared from infected wounds and your other party members, so there's no need to actually pay attention to them. Yeah, see, it's running here. Feel free to hit some skeletons on your way. They die in like one hit, so they're kind of irrelevant. Pull the next three Candlestick Mages, and here you'll want to burn Survival, Berserk, and Nature's Vigil, and they'll go down really fast. You can pretty much ignore the ads when you go to pull the boss. Just once the Candlestick Mages are dead, you can just go and pull the boss. The ads will die just incidental AoE. There isn't really much else to add. At this part of the instance, all you're really doing is functioning as a glorified DPS. It's able to soak hits instead of actually just purely dealing damage. And the Candlestick Mages are going to go down. Anna's going to be a funny and drop an Earthquake right here on these skeletons just for funsies. You don't actually have to pull these. I did because I don't really have a good reason. So you just run and pull the boss. The only thing you really have to watch out for here is Wondrous Rapidity. The same thing she does on Heroic. Just does a lot more damage on Challenge Mode. And ever since they took out the minimum vengeance gain from special abilities, it's really not worth sitting in. I mean, if your healer's prepared for it, it's not a big deal, but it's not worth not much the number of problems you're going to cause to do so. Especially since you have to burn a major cooldown usually, and the next room is quite a pain to pull. here we come to the mirror image section. One of your party members is going to have the add-on that tells you which one of them is the right one to kill, because for every wrong one you kill, you deal damage to your group, and that's just extra mana that your healer shouldn't have to waste. Another one is Rapidity, again just functioning as a glorified DPS. She does basically no melee damage, so you're dumping pretty much all of your rage into offense, i.e. Maul. And we're going to go into a second image phase very shortly. I don't think I've actually dropped combat since the start of the instance. You will after this boss is dead, but because you get that risen card during the first boss, and it's alive all the way, or something's alive all the way through to this boss, you don't actually end up dropping combat, so your potion probably won't have time to reset. And here the boss is going to die. I mean, in just a few seconds. Which is nothing more than a time sink, really, especially because of the image phase. Getting that down can be kind of RNG, since you have to cycle through all the targets in order to find the right one. And here she's going to die. So the next room involves 6 Bone Weavers that do a frontal cone kind of physical damage spellcast. We're going to pull them 3 at a time around the corner into the room, then I'm going to flip them to face them outside so they don't spree the party. Here, I'm going to go for the 2 on the left. Reese's going to misdirect one on the right for me. With a taunt and a fairy fire, run back in, LOS them around the corner. I kind of fail at LOSing right there. And here they come. You're also going to get some skeletons. Those are kind of annoying. And here's all 3 of the Bone Weavers. Make sure you face them out the door. I think Reese actually manages to grab aggro on one of them, so I end up pawning it back. Or is that a skeleton? Yeah, it's a skeleton. Yeah, there it is. So someone actually manages to grab aggro on one of them, so I just taunt it back and face it towards the door. One of them attacking the party is not a big deal, but if you get more than one, they can do some serious damage really quickly. To you, they don't really do that much damage, especially since between Barkskin and, in my case, Pain Suppression, Survival, and MU, it's not even remotely threatening. And we're going to reverse this time. I'm going to get the 2 on the right, and Reese is going to misdirect the 1 on the left. There's a brief sort of confusion, and I miscommunicate what I'm actually intending to do, so people go the wrong way. But here we go. Pulling them back into the room. Yeah, you can see Anne and Hamlet I didn't tell them what I was doing, so they got confused as to what was going on. But they're going to run back into the room. And same sort of deal, except a lot more skeletons this time. Grab all of them, and then face them in the room. One of the Bone Weavers is kind of slow, so I had to wait for it and smack it with a mangle in order to flip it around. This is a lot more AoE because the number of skeletons you have to deal with increases over the number of Bone Weavers you kill. And at this point, it's not that, but yeah, they're just going to fall over and die. It's doing so much DPS because of Vengeance, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, you can see, well, I guess I'm only at like 50k, but still. Which brings us to the Rattle gore encounter. This is pretty much the same as normal. The only difference is he does a lot more damage. Grab a bone armor, kite when he gets high stacks of rusting, and don't stand in the blue fire. Doing the RP portion. Here comes Rattle gore. Same sort of deal as normal, though. I mean, more heroic. I just want to get as much rage and keep Savage Defense up as long as possible to delay the kiting. Because when you're not kiting, you're doing DPS, and when you are kiting, you're not doing damage, obviously. So we're going to get to, so we're getting to 5 stacks of rusting pretty quickly, because I wasn't quick enough on getting Savage Defense up. So I usually wait till 7 or 8 before I start moving. Yeah, and you see how I'm actually wasting a huge portion of Incarnation because of it, which is kind of too bad. And we go into the corner, dodge the blue fires. Just keep running. He can't actually catch up to you if you just run at normal speed, so it's not really too much to worry about. If you really have to, you can just wild charge to a teammate, get a grip, or dash or stampeding roar. Again, he's going to get up rusting really quickly here. And I should be starting to, yeah, here we go, getting high stacks. I'm going to go into cat form and dash really quick here. Yeah, there goes the dash. And I got really lucky because there's no fires on this side. So I didn't have to backtrack. I also got kind of lucky in that I haven't been targeted for his bone attack at all. So I haven't had to refresh my bone armor, which can be kind of a pain when you're trying to kite him. And yeah, here we go. What you'll actually end up seeing here is that I'm going to die at this point, because I am a baddie. I don't really have anything else to say to that. So I kind of just started to ignore resting at this point, because I thought we would kill him before he actually started to hurt me. And in kind of my defense, Hamlet was more focusing on DPS than actually healing me, so yeah, I'm gonna fall over and die right here. There we go. But the boss is at such low health that he just dies right after it. Normally, if you were going for a realm best or guild best time, this would be an instant reset, since wasting 10 seconds to res my sorry ass is just a waste of time. However, if you're just going for gold, it's perfectly acceptable mistake. The timer on Scholomance is very, very lenient, as I mentioned before. The next room we're going to do you can actually do that in one of several different ways. I'll explain how we're doing it, and then I'll go over couple of the other possible permutations. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually chain pull everything in the room except for the last 5 mobs in the back right corner. The reason we're doing this is because we're doing the burn strat on the 3rd boss, which requires you to use a DPS potion, which means you need to kill a set of students in the following room in order for your potion cooldown to reset for the invis run shortly afterwards. Which is fine. The amount of time you expend doing that is well worth the time you save not having to do the second phase of the actual 3rd boss encounter. So how you would normally do this is you'd actually just chain pull the instance, making sure that the carver stacks translate from one group to the next. However, after the second group of carvers, I actually end up screwing this up, kind of. So at this point, I actually am translating the buff correctly. A vial of sanguinary trinket would be a good thing to have for this particular room, because the carvers actually end up attacking so fast that you'll stack the buff super high. One thing you'll notice is that carver died without translating his buff to the next group. That's kind of my fault. You shouldn't really let that happen, because it's just it's a DPS loss, and it makes the actual trash go way slower than it should. So this is the last group we're going to pull in this room. Just a group of 4 final carvers. Like I said, this should have died a lot faster than it is because I screwed up. So we're going to actually just drag them along with us to the next boss, because we might as well just kill them. Now on the next boss, like I said before, we're going to be doing the burn strat. The point of the burn strat is to kill Lillian Voss before her soul splits from her body. That way I managed to skip an entire 2 phases of the fight, which dramatically shortens its duration. So what we're going to do is we just finished pulling the trash, waiting for everyone to get inside the door. We're actually going to stack her in the back right hand corner after Hamlet finishes his amber here. RP segment's going on, so you just amber at this point. And boss is going to become pullable very quickly. I'm spamming Fairy Fire trying to get over here. So you don't use any DPS cooldowns or potions or anything at this point. You're just doing consistent DPS. Depending on how high your DPS is, you might be able to go through or skip a grip, or you may have to actually take a grip before you can push her down to 58%, which is when the split starts. You'll also save hero for this phase, because if you don't have hero, the chances are pretty unlikely you're going to be able to pull it off. So we're just doing some constant DPS, nothing too fancy. Grip is going to be coming, so there's the grip. So what you want to do is you want to spread out, but keep the other opposite corner free of fire, because we're going to converge there and stack up to push her over into the next phase. Here, see, we're stacking up. And here at this point, we're just doing more consistent DPS. We're easily going to push her over. And once, see, there's Hero, Incarnation, Vigil, Potion, all going off right now. And now you basically sit here, the fire dissipates, and you push her over before her soul splits from her body. We're going to make this easy. If you do manage to make this, it saves you at least a minute and a half, probably more, in actual time. The cost being you can't invis the full room of students. You have to pull a group of students in order for your invis potion to reset. Now, I'm a stupid idiot here, and I pull the students before my potion cooldown starts ticking, which means I pull them before I actually exit combat, which is really bad. Because it actually ends up costing you a full minute of time, because your potion's not ticking down while you're killing the students. For us, it didn't actually matter, because we still had plenty of time to get through the invis run and kill Gandling before the potion cooled off, or before the gold timer ended. My bad. So we got lucky and got a melee group of melee students here. I don't know if these are random or not in challenge mode, I do know that if we actually had caster students, we just line aside and pull around on the corner. So now we get to sit here for a minute and do nothing. So yeah, my potion started ticking down. So we're just kind of jumping and sitting with our collective thumbs up our butts. I'll start talking about the Gandalf encounter at this point. There's a couple of different ways you can approach it. The first is to use, or just attack on him and to cleave down the zombies that spawn before they explode and kill you. Or the second is, if you have 3 ranged and a healer, they can, and pretty poor AoE, you can have everyone except for the tank stand up on the balcony, and the zombies will naturally aggro towards the healer, and the range DPS just kill them before they get there. If you're using the second strategy, the tank can't use any AoE while zombies are spawning, so no swiper. Well, you wouldn't swipe anyway, but no thrash while zombies are spawning. Which means you might lose some individual DPS in. Here's the invis run that starts. You can actually avoid pulling the group of students by the door. You have to hug the door. Like, oh, I guess I'm kind of humping it there. It's kind of gross. But hug the door and then you can open it and let everyone else through. We're going to get into this room and immediately charge down to Gandalf. Yeah, here we go. He does an Incinerate, which is a single target nuke on you. It actually hurts a lot, like really bad. So your healer needs to pay attention for when that's on you and cleanse it off as soon as you can. When the healer gets sent into his lesson, it's a good time to burn a major cooldown. So you get sent into a lesson first. Not really a big deal. Got the zombies, kill them, they die pretty quick. Nothing really to see here. Just land a thrash, keep swiping them until they die. They're going to fall over all dead pretty quick right here. At this point, the healer's probably using a raid cooldown to make sure everyone's still alive. And you can see the zombie students spawning, and they just died to AoE because we have a survival hunter, fury warrior, and an elemental shaman which chain lightnings, all the things. And this is just straight single target DPS. Use Incarnation. Yeah, see, I have Incarnation and Vigil up right now. I think Hamlet is actually, yeah, you can see Hamlet is in the lesson in the top right hand corner in my mini map. So I use Incarnation and Vigil to heal myself through any potential incinerates. He also does a zombie summon at this point, so the tank damage is like non-existent until he starts casting Incinerate again at this point. Yeah, Immolate, and then he starts casting Incinerates. But Hamlet's back, so it's fine. Other than that, this encounter is pretty boring. You just kind of sit here and DPS. There isn't really anything you can do to make it go faster other than just dump all your rage into Maul and see differential regen from an Immolate or an Incinerate. I don't really have anything else to say about this dungeon. In this video, you've probably noticed, if you're like keen for going for realm or guild best times, you probably noticed several areas where you can do a better pull. Or Bale will not die, and Rattle gore is a pretty big one, in order to improve your time. But like I said, the Ver timer is extremely lenient, and you won't have any trouble getting this challenge mode after a try or two. Might be able to one-shot it. It's not that difficult. The key is to make sure someone has an add-on for Jandis, so you don't end up taking up way more time than you need to there. I hope you've enjoyed this challenge mode guide, and I hope you managed to get your transmog set like I did, because it's gorgeous.